No. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, it was deeper than that.
As I say, the people that...
Whoa.
Did you... Hey.
Whoa, 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 there's loads of noises behind me.
Did you... He killed his wife.
Yeah, she's not here just now, he's telling me this. He's strangled her, and he's quite happy with the fact that he's cut her up.
You're a murderer, aren't you? You thought your wife was a slut. You know, you were jealous. You're pathetic, jealous man.
He's saying I wasn't.
Fucking hell, Kath. Oh, Jesus. At first I felt like I was moving down, looked like that. Right. What was that? Did you get that? God. Did you get that?
That wasn't a you, Kath.
It was. You alright, Carl? You okay?
Do you want to come out, Carl?
I think you should, because I think you're going to go.
I'm going to throw up.
No. What was that?
No. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, it was deeper than that.
Welcome back to Most Haunted Live, the second of an 8-night paranormal investigation taking us all the way up to Halloween. Tonight, Yvette and the team are investigating a very gruesome location indeed. They're at the home where Dr. Buck Ruxton in 1935 murdered 2 people, 2 women, dismembered their bodies and was later taken to the police cells and courtroom to where the team are now relocating. In the interim, in that little gap before they relocate, would you welcome, please, criminal psychologist Dr. David Holmes from the Manchester Metropolitan University. Good evening, Doctor. Let's start with what might possibly have motivated Dr. Buck Ruxton to commit these horrendous crimes.
Well, I think probably pretty sure, and most murders of this type, what we call usoricide, is born of jealousy. And in this particular case, it's a classic case of what we call morbid jealousy, i.e. that person is jealous of something, generally speaking, which is not going on. And they imagine things, they are deluded, they are extremely obsessional, they will follow around, they will look for clues, and they will find clues that are not actually anything to do with any kind of affair or anything like that, and they will hone in on that. And it's that building of passion, because most murders are within relationships, they're within families, they're not stranger murders. So where the passions are very, very high, and clearly they were in this case, those passions, when they go sour, equally go violently sour and nastily sour, as in this case.
And this became a double murder. Would the second murder have been done by the murderer to cover his tracks, do you think?
I think yes, as I think Kieran once alluded to, forensic awareness. This chap was a doctor. He does kind of think more coolly in such situations. He may have been hot-headed at the time of the first murder, but being a fairly intellectual person, somebody who's used to the kind of horror of life and death, he will probably draw back and begin to look at the scene in terms of protecting himself, and he will have murdered the second lady purely and simply to cover his tracks.
This might be a slightly odd question because we think of doctors as being carers, part of a caring profession, yes. But can doctors be desensitised to violence? Could they cut themselves off from what they were doing if they are effectively butchering dead bodies?
It's what we call intellectualisation. Yes, they do, because they have to. They would be no use to you as doctors if they got, sort of emotional and squeamish about everything that happened. And a doctor in this era of 1935 is somebody who would be very hands-on. I mean, nowadays you're used to your doctor perhaps doing prescriptions and things like that. But in this particular era, this doctor will have been doing minor surgery. They will have actually been doing some of the little jobs around the body, so he would have been quite used to blood, gore and actually operating on someone. So the move towards what turned out to be a very, very gruesome way of getting rid of someone, not just getting rid of a corpse just as in an abattoir or something. This is someone that you loved, someone you cared for, and then to kind of carve up their head and their hands and cut off their arms and legs. It's something that's slightly beyond even individuals who may be out there and hate their spouses would not ever think they could place themselves in that position. But a doctor who's used to that kind of thing is perhaps more able as you say, to carry out those kind of acts.
Thank you so much for the moment, Dr. David Holmes. Let's hear now from a colleague of yours, Professor Mark Slevin, because there are other ways to dispose of a body besides those used by Lancaster's evil doctor, Dr. Buck Ruxton, and it turns out they're governed by some blood-curdling principles of science. Let's hear now from Professor Mark Slevin, lecturer in forensic pathology at Manchester Metropolitan University.
It's interesting because one of the most important things following a murder is the disposal of the body. You have the possibility of butchering or cutting up the body. There, you're running the risk of creating lots of forensic evidence. The fluids are liable to splash and create lots of blood, which can be used as DNA evidence. If you place parts of a body in a bath, for example, full of concentrated sulfuric, hydrochloric or hydrofluoric acid, all of these acids have the ability not only to dissolve tissue, but to dissolve the harder parts of the body, which include the bones and the teeth. And there would be no forensic evidence or useful forensic evidence left. An alternative method which could be used to dispose of a body is to burn the body. If you were to have access to a crematorium, or would be able to cremate the body, the temperature inside a crematorium is between 1,000 and 1,500 degrees centigrade. So under these circumstances, what you end up with is the whole body, including the bones, including the teeth, are sort of broken up into tiny, tiny pieces, almost like sand. So in this case, you would effectively have removed any potential forensic evidence and disposed of the body into a sand-like substance. Today, the problem that the criminal has is that scientific technology has achieved such a high level that, you know, if you decide you're going to chop up the body, try to sort of remove the body and hide it, the chances are you will leave some type of forensic evidence which will be sufficient to identify the body, and then which may leave a trail back and catch you.
Thank you, Professor Slevin. Let's return now to our criminal psychologist guest, Dr. David Holmes. David, what I don't quite understand is you've identified a crime of obsession, a crime of passion, and then it becomes almost dispassionate, cold and clinical. How would those two things tally?
It's a very, very difficult thing to place ourselves into, because if we carried out this crime of passion, someone rage because you believe that they've been having an affair and it destroys your very belief in yourself. I mean, they had 3 children. I mean, these children could be the kind of a sense of shame and you know, horror for the person because, oh, it might not be my children if this has been going on. So you would be highly charged, but immediately after you've destroyed someone you love, you'd probably feel immediate remorse, go to pieces, and to be quite honest, if you did that, the chances of having mercy from the court are probably much greater. But no, this chap fell into the intellectual doctor's role of coldly looking at the situation and doing what we could never really think of doing ourselves, and certainly not in these circumstances, of hacking your beloved to pieces and disposing very, very militaristically, very precisely, with probably the same obsession as he had in tracking her, but the same obsession applied to getting rid of their bodies carefully.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. David Holmes, for shedding some light on that awful and appalling case. Let's turn now to what you at home are sensing, what you're seeing on the webcams, what you're picking up. Let's get an update on all things interactive from Julian Clegg. Julian.
Thanks, Paul. As we've been saying, 8 nights, 8 faces of evil and 8 webcams, and now the webcams will switch. We're going to go from Palatine Hall across the road to the police cells in the courtroom where Buck Ruxton was taken, and we have 4 new webcams to switch on now. Let's go to our interactive map, which you can see on the website. There it is, the town hall there, going through the webcams. Webcam 1 in the courtroom on the ground floor, webcam 2 in the police cells corridor in the basement, webcam 3 coming up there in the police cell at the far end of the corridor, and then webcam 4 is in the large haunted hall above the courtroom on the first floor. So let's turn them on, let's look at them right now, and there they are, webcam 1, as we say, in the courtroom on the ground floor. If you see anything unusual, I want to hear from you, please, on our text and via the website. Moving on to webcam 2. and that's in the police cells area in the basement, looking down the corridor there. Don't forget, if you spot something, say where you are, where you're from, and any time that you spot the sightings, please. Moving on to webcam 3 in the police cell at the far end of the corridor. There it is there. What are you going to spot there over the next hour or so? We'd like to hear from you, please. Webcam 4 is in the large haunted hall above the courtroom in the